G'day humans, what's a good word? This is Chris Thunder here for Wrestling Aus Style. Fruity's Alex away again today, but we're going to chat All Out. Yes, All Out, AEW's second premium pay-per-view, I guess, after All In is now their premium pay-per-view. Coming to you from Toronto, Canada. On the call for the opening of the show will be Nigel McGuinness, Tony Schiavone, and Matt Menard, Danny Magic. We kick things off here, seeing if you did watch the 0 Hour, that is now the portion that is sit down talking, hey, we're going to dissect all these matches with Renee, RJ, and Danielson. And then the hour of matches is now the collision before the pay-per-view. Thought this was a really good change. Kind of the feeling of 2000's Sunday Night Heat before a pay-per-view. I thought that was a really good change. So we kick things off with AEW Collision Tailgate Brawl All Out pre-show. First of all, the venue looks great. Comparing this to the venue that the WWE was in, this looks like a much larger venue. So I enjoyed that a lot more. Opening match is The Ops, Powerhouse Hobbs and Samoa Joe taking on already in the ring, the Workhorsemen, Anthony Henry and JD Drake, and you kind of already know the result of this one given where their opponents are for their entrance. Joe and Hobbs here win in 520. Joe getting the cocaine clutch here on JD Drake, I believe it was. Yeah, not shocked by that result. So a lot of quick matches here, but the on the pre-show normally, but this second one, Shibata of the Ops, 1/3 of the Trios champ, will take on new member of Death Riders, Daniel Garcia, who is accompanied out by Marina Shafir. And this match goes close to 15 minutes here. One good thing is at least Garcia has stopped dancing, and they really play into Matt Menard, Daddy Magic on the call here during this match. He's looking rather upset, but going, as I said, about 15, and Garcia here gets the win after Marina distracted the ref while Danny was tapping. So he gets the pinfall victory here over Shibata. Third match we'll see sort of a reformed conglomeration as Hologram will team with Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong, and their opponents already ringside, Frat House, who jumped them before the bell. This here going 320, and you could probably already guess the result here. Hologram wins, pinning Griff Garrison of the Frat House, who had also Cole Carter and Preston Vance in this match with Jack Jamison ringside as their leader. Enough to write home about match, but what was it? Paragon is sort of falling back into this conglomeration reforming now that Adam Cole seems to be out long term with his injury. And match 4, the main event here of your Collision Tailgate pre-show, is Julia Hart, Sky Blue, teaming with Megan Bain and Penelope Ford versus Ring of Honor interim TV champ Mina Shirakawa, Queen Aminata, Hayley Cameron, and Willow Nightingale. I think I said Hayley, it's Harley Cameron. I think because I've got a cousin spelt like that, I keep mispronouncing it. Anywho, this being the 8-woman tailgate brawl tornado match. Hell of a match. This was awesome. A lot of weapons used at one point. Mina and Queen Aminata put the Sisters of Sin into a barbecue that is ringside, and Willow with the Dr. Bomb pins Penelope Ford here to get the victory for her team. 11:30. I felt this could have gone on the pay-per-view and would have been a hell of a lot better, but the women here did get a lot of time to shine and did get a lot of time to shine on TV in a main event situation. Following that, we have the pay-per-view proper. Kicking off action will be C&C, Cope and Christian Cage taking on FTR, who is Cash Wheeler, Dax Hardwood, and Stokely. The pay-per-view runtime is 5 hours. Wish we could find a happy medium. Pay-per-view kicks off and we have our rotating chair of commentary as out is McGuinness and Daddy Magic. In is Excalibur and Bryan Danielson. So yes, opening match, C&C teaming in Toronto for the first time in 24 years. That is an impressive stat and something that WWE fumbled with both Edge and Christian's return. Edge paying homage to Big Match John, where the AEW fans chant Cena as Edge does a 5-knuckle shuffle and an FU. At one point, Edge has it won, and then Stokely, who is ringside for FTR, pulls out the ref, which leads to, you think you know her. Beth Copeland is All Elite, the former Beth Phoenix, now in AEW. This was awesome. She comes, she takes out Stokely, and this leads to C&C here getting the win as Cope pins Cash after a spear, and then in the post-match here, which I completely forgot to take note of, we see FTR take out C&C and Beth, and Cope is sort of handcuffed to the ring. They'd allude to this more on Dynamite in post-match videos from the locker room, that Edge is like, well, I gotta go home and take care of my family, but you're still my family too, Christian Cage. So yeah. Match number 6 is Big Bill, who has the bad apple, Brian Keefe, out ringside, taking on Eddie Kingston. Yes, Eddie is back after what feels like almost 2 years. You know, this should have been a pretty good match until the ending. Kingston goes for his spinning back elbow punch looking thing, completely misses Big Bill, and that's the finish. And it was flat, but that's not the end of the feud, because as Kingston does get the win, Brian Keefe jumps in post-match, which leads to Hook making his return to save Eddie Kingston, as Hook has sort of gone off on his own away from the ops now. So possible tag match coming out of that one. Match number 7 will be the tables and tacks match of MJF versus Mark Briscoe, which I do appreciate both men wearing sort of street clothes attire for this one. Briscoe brings in the tacks, which leads to him getting his head driven into the tacks by MJF, where he is cut open. And then sort of MJF sort of trying to chicken heel himself out of most of this match. But eventually, Mark here hits the J Driller and finally pins MJF with the 1-2-3. So yes, finally getting that big victory over MJF. However, I do feel this should have happened last year whilst Briscoe was Ring of Honor champ, have that big blow-off match against MJF for that title, where Briscoe retains. Because he's been saying all this stuff about Jay for about a year. We cut to backstage in the parking lot. It's Jerry Lynn, who's trying to reform the Acclaim. I'm like, I don't care, we're just doing the Reclaimed again without Daddy Ass, but with Jerry Lynn. Okay, cool, I guess. Rotating chairs of commentary. Shivani out, Taz is in, and this will be our lineup for pretty much the rest of the show. Callis joins commentary when his, when his members are in a match. Match number 8, Hurt Syndicate versus Ricochet and Gates of Agony. With their new name, The Demand. Yes, The Demand is the name for Ricochet and Gates of Agony. This was a fine trios match. It served what it needed to do here with Ricochet getting a win over MVP here. Overall, I thought this was a good match, and it is sort of setting up to something bigger for Ricochet and Gates of Agony. Match number 9 of the evening, which is Mercedes Moné for her TBS title versus Rio. And Mercedes comes out to a bunch of male models standing there wearing her other 8 championships, who could not look more bored if they tried whilst Mercedes makes her entrance. Honestly, this kind of just looks like a parade of Canadian indie champs. And Danielson said on the 0 Hour that he believes that Mercedes having 9 titles from around the world is a bigger deal than Ultimate Dragon having his 10, which is actually 11 titles at the time, but the famous photo is him with 10. Yeah, no. Yeah, sort of. This was probably one of Mercedes' better matches and was a good showcase to what Rio can do. But at the same time, it's just, yeah, Mercedes wins. Who's going to beat her? Because at this point, she has been TBS champ for, I'm just trying to have a look now. She is closing in on 500 days. She is about a month off Jade's record for longest TBS reign of 508 days. She's at about 590. So yeah, about 3 weeks off. I guess with the announcement on Dynamite, that sort of rules out Toni Storm, where I thought, okay, you can move Toni Storm down to this division and be her from a Hollywood starlet into a star of TV's golden age of the 50s and 60s. I mean, could still pivot to that, but I don't think they are. Following that, it is Don Callis Family Explodes. That is Kazuchika Okada versus Konosuke Takeshita versus Mascara Dorada? Yes. For those who forget which luchador is in Don Callis Family, it is not Mascara Dorada. It is, what's his name? Hechicero. That's it. Now, when this belt was unified, Tony said it'd be contested under the Continental rules, which means 20-minute time limit. But this match here goes 21 minutes with a 60-minute time limit announced. So yes, Don John's commentary. This was a hell of an awesome match. It's sort of Okada and Takeshita trying to one-up each other to be the ace, the in-ring leader of Don Callis Family. There is a spot where both men are arguing on the top rope, and Mascara Dorada comes in, does like a double hurricanrana to both men. But we get down to it, and Okada pins Dorada to retain. Don didn't get involved, which means this was an amazing match. And as Don gets in the ring to pose with Okada, he still has his 3 belts. Following that, match number 11 of the evening was Jon Moxley versus Darby Allin in the Coffin match. At one point, fans are chanting, "This is murder," as Mox is beating the living shit out of Darby. But as Darby seems to get the upper hand, Pac returns, and Pac throws Darby outside. Darby splashes into the coffin outside. Then Pac drags him back in, puts him in a body bag, throws him into the coffin, and Mox laying next to the Coffin, kicks it with his feet, and Mox wins. For those who like a clean finish in their match, would not have enjoyed this. For those who like hardcore plunder, yeah, this was a pretty good match. Match number 12 of the evening. We still have 3 matches to go. Jesus. Yes, 3 matches to go here on your premium double or triple scoop main event pay-per-view thing. Can we just have a happy medium? 7 or 8 matches, 1 on the pre-show. That's a good happy medium. It is your women's 4-way for the Women's World Championship. Timeless Toni Storm, your defending champion, against Jamie Hayter, the woman who never got a chance back at her championship. Chris Statlander and Tekla, the Toxic Spider. We get a special video package here of Toni being in like a old Hollywood studio, and each woman comes out. As the ref is holding up the title, Wheeler Yuta gets in Statlander's ear before the bell rings, so teasers of Statlander possibly joining the Death Riders. And, Wheeler goes to the back before the bell rings, so he's not going to get involved in this match. Tekla sort of throws each woman off the top rope as she's doing like her spider pose. And then she gets down onto the ring mat, does her spider walk, and Toni climbs back in the ring and goes, "I hate spiders," and stomps Tekla mid-spider walk. There is a Toni pin on Statlander, and JV makes a save at 2. I thought that might have been it. Toni works her way to the ropes, but Ref Aubrey says there is no rope breaks in a 4-way match. So yes, fair reffing there. It's sort of a back and forth near fall exchange. Statlander gets the seatbelt. 1, 2, 3, and your new AEW Women's World Champion, Chris Statlander. Statlander becoming the first woman to hold both TPS and World Gold in AEW. After the match, she's celebrating with Harley Cameron. So that will be pretty exciting going forward. And Toni sort of just seems in a state of shock. We get a plug for Wrestle Dream happening in October. And then the 4-way tag team ladder match for your AEW Tag Team Championship. Brodito, the defending champs, versus Young Bucks versus Jet Speed versus Hechicero and Josh Alexander. Yes, co-main eventer Hechicero. Get in, son. This is where Taz complains about people wearing orange. The Young Bucks won that 8-man tag match, and now, because they got all the money from it, they are using it to pay the production to get their old EVP entrance back with the pyro and the music and the Tron. Good reaction for I guess home country boy, Speedball Mike Bailey. Sort of a mixed reaction for home country boy Josh Alexander, but Callis comes out and introduces him, so it's mostly boos. There is Hechicero doing a surfboard whilst lying on a ladder bridge to Mike Bailey. That was insane. Bailey does what I can only describe as like a shooting star press after he gets out of the surfboard from Hechicero onto Hechicero on the ladder bridge. I've put the photos in our Discord. It is fucking insane. But this match comes down after 25 minutes to Brodito retaining. I honestly thought wrong result here. I thought, oh, okay, maybe we're going to move in a new direction. You can do the story of C&C versus the Bucks. You can do the story of respect of Kevin Knight and Mike Bailey versus C&C, because C&C winning against FTR sort of does position themselves up the ladder a little bit. Yeah. So Brodito win. And then in the post-match, the Bucks are still in the ring, and scapegoat Jack Perry has returned. Get in my boy stable. But no, he attacks the Bucks, and then we get a Tron, and it shows a coffin being dug out of the ground, and then a medical lab, and then Luchasaurus is brought back to life, and Luchasaurus is in the ring. He takes out the Bucks. He's still wearing the kill switch belt, which he then takes off and throws into the crowd, and then him and Jack Perry embrace. So we have Jurassic Express back. What else happened here? Before the main event, we get Tony Storm doing a read for DraftKings that is way better than anything WWE has plugged recently with their wrestlers. We get Mox backstage with with Darby's coffin, and he tells the Death Riders to leave, and then Darby pops Mox with a steel pot, puts him in a body bag, puts a lot of fluid on him, sets it on fire, and then people rush in, setting with fire extinguishers to put out Mox. Yeah, Darby is insane. We get announcements for Dynamite this week of the conglomeration, Briscoe, Hologram, and a mystery opponent will take on Don Callis family members Hechicero, Okada, and Takeshita. And everyone's favourite for Dynamite, Tony Khan, has an important announcement. Then we finally get to the main event. AEW World Championship match. Hangman Adam Page versus Australia's own Carl Fletcher. I love the closing shot of this hype package is Fletcher in his like black and pink suit holding up both belts. One day, Carl. One day. Fletcher comes out in his pink ensemble wearing his TNT title. I love that in interviews Fletcher has said he sort of took inspiration from Tanahashi's ring gear, his ring jacket, how Tanahashi's ring jackets have always had that cut in them for the IWGP title. So Fletcher took inspiration from that to have that cut there so he can have the title belt showing in his ring gear. Hang on. That is better. Hangman comes out. There's loud chants of "Let's go Protostar," along with a chant of "We hate pink." Hey. The ref here being very lax with the rules. There's plenty of action outsiders. There is a brainbuster from Kyle to Hangman through the timekeeper's table at ringside. Then, by the entranceway, another table is set up, and Hangman puts Fletcher with a dead eye. And it comes down to the closing moments here. Hangman retains. Callis seems unimpressed, but didn't get involved, meaning Fletcher keeps his title. This was an amazing match, but by God, did this show go so long. I watched this over a number of days. I'm gonna try to rate this fairly. I'm gonna say 4 beers, and a fair bit of that is just cut off because of the length. Let's see, thumbs up, thumb downs matches. Match number 1, the Ops versus Workhorsemen, thumbs down in terms of a pay-per-view match. Garcia versus Shibata, yeah, thumbs up. Hologram and Paragon versus the Frat House, thumbs down. It's what I'd refer to as an AEW dark match on pay-per-view pre-show. Harley Cameron, Mina Shikara, Queen Amanada, Willow Nightingale versus the Sisters of Sin, along with Megan Bain and Penelope Ford in that 8-woman tornado tailgate brawl. Yeah, 2 thumbs up. Great match. C&C Vs FTR. Great match. 2 thumbs up. Eddie Kingston versus Big Bill. I'm going to say thumbs in the middle. Good match until the finish. Briscoe MJF, 2 thumbs up. The Demand versus the Hurt Syndicate. It was good, just didn't really hit for me, 1 thumbs up. Mercedes versus Rio, 2 thumbs up. Okada, Takeshita Dorada, 2 thumbs up. Mox and Darby, 2 thumbs up. The women's 4-way for... Yeah, I'm going to say 2 thumbs up. The tag ladder match, again, 2 thumbs up. And the main event, 2 thumbs up. What do I think was match of the night, though? I can see people just being burnt out because the main event went 39 minutes after a 5-hour pay-per-view with a 1-hour pre-show. Jeez. I suppose it depends more or less what your palate is for. I do really like that main event. It just felt way too long at the end of a really long show. The women's 4-way was one hell of a match. I really didn't do it justice here. Mox and Darby was a really good match. Okada, the freeway was a really good match. The Mercedes match was a really good match. The Tacks match was a really good match. The FTR C&C match was a really good match. I'm going to say the freeway. The Okada Takeshita Dorada was my match of the night. Alright, do you have time for Dynamite? Well, too bad, because I'm talking about it anyway. We kick off, rundown of the show tonight. Statlander defends against Mina Shirakawa. You've also got Brodito defending against Gates of Agony. You've got FTR will talk. You've got Conglomeration with a mystery third person versus Don Callis family in a trios match. You've got, as my computer won't load. Why won't it load that one? You've got AEW World Open Challenge as Hangman will defend the world title against pure champion of Ring of Honor, Lee Moriarty. And Powerhouse Hobbs will take on Claudio Castagnoli in a first-time meeting. So, backstage, Hangman admits that Fletcher took him to his limits. And we get our first match of the night. The Demand versus Brodito. Insert Ricochet laugh promo, and then he joins commentary. Less is more with this guy. So Brodito here, retaining. We get Conglomeration backstage. And then the feed sort of gets corrupted and clone activated, and it's a black and red image of hologram. So hologram, dark, evil hologram, I guess, coming soon. Chris Statlander and Renee are backstage. Jump scare Harley Cameron also. And Statlander talks about how good it is winning the title. We get the open challenge for the World Championship. Hangman versus Tiger Style. Lee Moriarty gets a hot video, including showing him submitting Robbie in Brisbane. Boo. But yeah, I thought this was a really good outing for Lee Moriarty. It then goes to the problem of having too many titles in AEW, and some Ring of Honor champions can move over or come over for one match and then just go back to Ring of Honor. There needs to be some sort of outset plan. And the best time Ring of Honor TV is normally, for me as a viewer, is when they do those bulk tapings or those on-location tapings. Like last year they did the Esports Arena tapings. This year they did the ECW Arena tapings, the 2300 Arena tapings. So yes, Hangman here, retaining against Lee Moriarty. We get the backstage video, as I mentioned earlier, C&C backstage, where Edge says that he needs to go home, take care of his family, but Christian is also his family. After that, Tony interviews FTR in the ring, and they're basically talking down everyone And then Willow comes out because they attacked Beth. And then, as Willow is interrupting FTR, Jet Speed come down to make the save for Willow, and FTR all sort of back off. We get MJF backstage after All Out, showing all the Tacks still in him, talking about that he might go away and rediscover the real MJF. Match number 2, Don Callis family versus the conglomeration. Don Callis is parading his art collection, saying this will be his masterpiece. And stagehands come out, bring out a big new easel, pull off the curtain, and it's been destroyed because it's Orange Cassidy's return. This was amazing. And then outrun Briscoe and Hologram to team with Cassidy. And Hologram pins Hechicero here as conglomeration here, getting the win. Following that was Kyle Fletcher was out. The Protostar calls out Hologram, who's 34-0 in AEW, and calls him out for the anniversary show the following week in a title versus streak match. So yes, that will be very interesting. I haven't watched the anniversary show yet. Backstage, Mina says that she will fight hard because she loves hard. Thank you, Mina. They re-air the Jurassic Express vignette with voiceover this time, and also splicing in the actual return at All Out, confirming they'll be back on TV next week. First time ever one-on-one match of Claudio versus Powerhouse Hobbs, and Hobbs making his entrance here through the crowd. This was a hell of a match. And then Pac comes down and gets involved. Which leads to Joe running down ringside, and then sort of a smoz between the Ops and Death Riders. Old name there. And then Hangman runs out to even up the numbers because Shibata is out injured again. Special announcement time. Tony Khan backstage saying that we have a great women's division, and you know, in time to honour that division, we now have women's tag team championships, and Renee's ringside and she gets the honour to unveil these titles ringside. Gotta say, these title belts look pretty good. I haven't been able to sort of pick up what wrestlers on the side plates, because AEW has done that a fair bit, like winks and nods to other wrestlers on the side plate. Notably, the Women's World Championship has the first 4 women's champions on there in some capacity on the side plates. But yeah, I thought this is something Tony's alluded to for the past year in press conference, media calls. It seems like the right time to do it. And I have also got a list here of sort of hypothetical teams. So you got Tay J, Anna J, Tay Mello. You got the Vendetta, which is Deonna Purrazzo, Ty Valkyrie. You've got the Sisters of Sin, which is Julia Hart and Sky Blue, who form part of the Triangle of Madness with Tekla. You've got the Renegade Twins on contract, Charlotte and Robin. You've got Athena and Billy Starks, who are sort of still yes and no. Do you have Jamie Hayter and Britt still? And Rebel? Because Britt's contract situation sort of seems up in the air. Diamante and Mercedes Martinez were teaming at one point on Ring of Honor. Harley Cameron and Chris Statlander or Willow Nightingale, I guess, could be a team because they've all been sort of friendly recently. Megan Bain and Penelope Ford are definitely a team. They just don't have a name. Mercedes Moné and Camille, but Camille completely disappeared off TV, so I'm unsure about that. Mina Shirakawa and Toni Storm's probably going to be a team, as will Queen Aminata and Red Velvet. And looking back, when they did that first AEW Women's Tag Team Cup tournament, the Deadly Draw, the only team left... The only team left from that draw is Tay Conti, who was going under her former name at the time, Tay Mello and Anna Jay. Nola Rose's partner's no longer with the company. Diamante's partner's no longer with the company. Dasha just does ring announcing now. Rachel Ellering does Ring of Honor. Leva Bates has left. Big and Lil Swole have left. Chanel, who was teaming with Leva Bates, has left. Mel has left. The Nightmare Sisters have left. So, yeah, I mean, Penelope Ford's still here. Diamante's still here. Nyla Rose is still here. And then, of course, you've got the actual people who I think should be the first women's champs to take on Tay Mello and Anna Jay. My apologies. Match number 4 for your main event, Mina Shirakawa versus Chris Statlander for the Women's World Championship. We do see, as they're showing highlights of the pay-per-view, Wheeler Yuta back ringside in Statlander's ear. Commentary mentions great wrestlers from the Pittsburgh area. They mention Bruno Sammartino, sort of most noticeably for his time in the WWF. Larry Zbyszko, I guess most people would recognise him from WCW. Shane Douglas, ECW. Kurt Angle. I mean, some of Kurt's best matches are his TNA years. Surprisingly, they don't mention Britt Baker. So yeah, you're gonna be in Pittsburgh. There were a few Brit signs in the crowd, and they don't mention her on commentary when they're mentioning great wrestlers during a women's match when she was a former women's world champion. Yeah, that doesn't seem good. Statlander here, winning over Mina with the seatbelt again, and then the Death Riders come back as Yuta's in the ring, and then he's standing to one side. Harley Cameron's in a different corner. The Death Riders surround the ring, and then Statlander, who's having her arm raised by Wheeler Yuta, clotheslines him, double bird to Mox in the face, shades of the old Stone Cold to Vince McMahon, and she jumps the barricade with Harley Cameron and leaves just in time for Darby to come out with a flamethrower and issue a challenge for an I Quit match to Mox at Wrestle Dream as Mox trips over the stairs and we go off the air. Hell of a match. There is one last thing. I think it's from not Dynamite. What's the other show? Collision. I'll touch on the TNA stuff another day. Collision. Barnes and Caster had a win. Cool, I guess. Like, it just feels like we're doing the Acclaimed again, but with Jerry Lynn instead of Daddy Ass. I don't get it. I seriously don't get it. I'll talk TNA, WWE stuff when Alex is on. I do want to touch on that SmackDown match for Crown Jewel and the Knockouts World Championship situation, which I think NXT refers to as Women's Champion. Yeah, it's a whole thing. Might even touch on CMLL Pokemon's crossover show. Oh boy. But that seems about it for now. Thank you for joining me. Did I give a beer rating for All Out? Yeah, I did. I said about 4. And I said my match of the night was the Unified Freeway. So, with that being said, you know where to follow us. You can follow Alex at FruityAsAlex. You can follow me at I'm Chris Thunder on socials. Links are in the description below. Nothing left to say, but good day and we'll speak to you next time.